Hello everyone, welcome back to the course on Computer Fundamentals and Problem Solving using C. This is Saroja Pathapati working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, SRKR Engineering College. And in this session, we are going to see about the types of computers and different programming languages and the various language processors available. So let us start our session. Coming to the objectives of today's session is to learn different types of computers and to learn about the various programming languages and to learn different language processors available. So coming to the types of computers, they are majorly categorized into 4 types, right? The first one is supercomputer, second one is mainframe computer, third one is minicomputer, and the fourth one is microcomputer. Coming to the supercomputer, we can say this is the most powerful among the 4 types of computers available in terms of performance as well as data processing, right? And these are used for a specialized tasks or a specific task. Let us say an example like research, and NASA uses these computers for launching their space shuttles, right? And these are used by large organizations and are very expensive and large in size. We can say that it can span an entire building, right? And to maintain this, we need some air conditioners. And the first supercomputer known as a CDC 6600, and it was designed by scientists known as Seymour Cray in the year of 1964, and then after in 2015 the President of America Obama has approved to the development of another supercomputer that is known as an XL supercomputer, and this is very much faster, that is we can say like 30 times faster and more powerful than the computers fastest supercomputers available in today, right? And the world's present super faster computer is available in China, that is a Tinachi 2, right? And this can perform a quadrillion of floating point operations per 1 second, right? Coming to the uses of supercomputer, it is widely used in earthquake studies and weather forecasting and to test nuclear weapons and many more, right? So here the image will show the size of our supercomputer. And there comes our mainframe computer. This is not that powerful as supercomputer, but even in cost terms, it also costs a lot, right? And these are used by some large organizations and government organizations, and mainly use it for banking, education, insurance companies, right? So these all will make use of these mainframe computers, and it also needs some air-conditioned rooms to maintain these computers, right? And then the most popular mainframe computers are Fujitsu's ICL VME and Hitachi's Jet 800, right? So if you can see, this is our mainframe computer. The entire back unit is also known as our mainframe computer. So coming to the mini computer, right? These are also known as mid-range computers because these are used for some small companies or organizations. And these are not meant for a single user, right? That is, kind of departments can make use of these computers. Suppose let us say an example of some production department can make use of this mini computer, right? And the popular mini computers are like K202, Texas Instrument T1990, SDS92, IBM mid-range computers, and many more. Coming to the microcomputers, we can say this is the cheapest among the 4 types of computers available, and it is very handy, right? So the examples of these are like desktop computers, laptops, your tablets, smartphones. These all are your microcomputers. And the uses of these things have been growing faster because of their size and the cost, right? And they are mainly used for entertainment, education, and work purposes. So this is about the types of computers. And then we are going to programming languages. Before going to a programming language, we need to know what is meant by a program. It is nothing but an instruction, right? Or data. So the instruction we will give to computer to perform a specific task, that is known as a program. Then coming to a programming languages, if we want to communicate with computer, right, we cannot speak directly. So we need some kind of intermediate thing to communicate with computer, that is known as a programming language. And this is mainly divided into two types, that is low level language and high level language. Coming to the low level language, so this is the language that is most understandable, right, by the computer, because these are written in a computer understandable language. And this low level language is again divided into two types, that is machine language and assembly language. Coming to the machine language, we can say it is a group of zeros and ones, or a string of zeros and ones, because the machine understandable code is zeros and ones. So we are directly writing the code in zeros and ones. It has its own advantages and disadvantages. So let us see the advantages of this machine level language, and this is also known as a first generation language, right? So as it is directly understandable by the machine, right, the code we have written is directly understandable, so the execution is also a little bit faster, and it doesn't need any large memory, because we are not giving any kind of data to store and all, right? So it doesn't need a large memory. And coming to the disadvantages, we cannot write a code in zeros and ones. Suppose let us try to write our name in zeros and ones, which is not possible, right? Even if an expert try it, we cannot say it is an error free, and it is time consuming. Coming to assembly level language, this is also a low level language, and this is also known as a second generation language. Here instead of zeros and ones, we make use of some special code that is known as a mnemonic code. So what is a mnemonic code? Instead of addition, we make use of add. Instead of subtraction, we make use of sub. So a shortcut words, right? So this is known as a assembly level language, and as we are writing in some code format, this code must be converted to zeros and ones, right? So an assembler, this is a translator for converting this assembly language to a low level language. So if you observe the advantages and disadvantages of assembly level language, it is easier when compared to our machine language, right? Why? Because instead of denoting with zeros and ones, here we are making use of some mnemonic code. And if we want to trace our program, and it is easier as it is understandable by us, right? And then coming to the disadvantages, we need some kind of translator to convert this assembly code to a machine understandable code, right? And this is a machine dependent language. That is, if you compile this in your system and if you try to execute this in other system, it doesn't work. The code where you compile, there only you need to execute this one. Alright, if you get confused between compiling and execution, when we talk about programs, you may get in a clear way. And a programmer who want to develop this must know a mnemonic code, right? This is also another disadvantage. Then coming to an high level languages, these are simple English language, which is very much understandable by our humans. And instead of this mnemonic code, here we make use of mathematical notations, just for plus for addition, minus for subtraction, similar way for multiplication and division and all. So again, this is divided into three types. The first one is a procedural oriented language. This is also known as a third generation language. And here if you want to solve some problem, right, you want to determine some steps, and the order in which you want to perform that steps must be included in this. And then here you make use of some English word for storing some variables. These all come into existence in procedural oriented language. Coming to the advantages, as you're writing in an English language, so it gives you more flexibility to write the name of the variables as you wish, right? And coming to the disadvantages, here also you need some intermediate thing to convert the language written into the machine understandable code, right? So that is known as a translator, so it is needed. And we need some high processor and large memory will be occupied by these kind of languages. And then coming to a problem oriented languages, this will allow the user to specify what must be the output, right? without giving any kind of data, the user can specify what must be the output come out like that, right? So this is also known as the fourth generation languages. And the examples for these are Visual Basic, C hash, PHP, and many more things. Coming to the advantages, this is easier, right? Because it is, as we have said, that the high level languages, right? They are written in a kind of English language, so it is easier to understand. And here also we need a translator to convert this language into machine understandable code. And the same thing, like we need a large amount of memory. Coming to third thing in our high level languages, that is a natural level languages, right? So here we will develop a code, right? There we can include some kind of statements, just like our English language, right? So they are known as the natural languages, and this is also known as a fifth generation language, where we can use a database to store some kind of information, and very easily understandable language to represent the functions and various things. These come into existence in our natural language. So coming to the advantage, it is very easy to program and understand, and translators are required, right? And it is a kind of expensive thing. Then coming to a language process, right? Before going to that, we need to understand, we already know what is meant by a language, right? It must be an English language, or it must be a language understandable by the machine, or it must be some programming language which acts as an intermediate between human and machine. Can be anything, right? So the programs what we return, mostly, like suppose take an example of C, C++, Java, Python, whatever it may be, they are high level languages, right? And the code what we return is known as a source code, right? But the computer cannot understand the source code. So there must be some translator which helps in converting this source code into a machine understandable code, right? So that is known as a language processor, which will convert a code written in high level language into a machine language. So they are majorly divided into three types. First one is a compiler. What is meant by a compiler? It will simply convert a high level code into a machine understandable code, but it will convert the entire thing at a time. That is, entire program will be converted into machine code at a time. Then what is meant by interpreter? It will also convert the high level code or a source code into a machine understandable code, but it will do line by line. That is, it will take the first line, then it will convert into a machine code, then it will read a second line, and then it will convert it into a machine code. Likewise, it will convert, right? So then coming to the differentiation, what is the major differentiation between a compiler and interpreter? It will convert the entire code into a machine language at a time, but here you will convert a line at a time, right? Then what is meant by assembler? So it is used to convert an assembly language, that is what we write in mnemonic code, that is add, sub and all, into a machine code, right? So for that thing, for that translation, we make use of this assembler. And this is the end of the session, and we will see a lot more in our coming sessions. Thank you.